Okay, I reckon this is chapter 16. I just kind of reviewed 15. There's a couple things I want to correct. I keep saying I keep saying GED, and what I mean to say is my GI Bill. It's the government for being in the Army. That's where those payments were coming from school and everything. My next ended up in Jacksonville. Okay, we both get a job. Side note, um, once we scored this house, we were within like a block or so each of where we were both working. And I sold a panel truck. I don't quite remember why or what, but we didn't need it. And we had turned on to a shop that sold mopeds. They weren't that much money. That might have been why I sold the pickup too. But they had just been. It was in the legislation in Florida to make a moped a same thing as a bicycle. So you didn't have to have a helmet or insurance. You could ride it anywhere you could ride a bicycle. So I was in contact with Tallahassee the day the government signed it into law for the governor. So we went down and bought one, and they were what's the word, governed to only do 25 miles an hour. But hey, so if you can picture this, like we at one point we had like a duffel bag full of laundry, and her hanging on to it behind me, and we'd ride the moped down the shopping center to the laundromat. Same with groceries. We'd go down, load them into the duffel bag, and haul them back. And it was like, I never really got stopped, but it was a while before the cops knew about the law change. And of course, it was Debbie that always got stopped. And I guess she got stopped all the time. Nobody'd ever give her a ticket, but they'd give her a hard time. She told me, I remember at one point, she just finally got tired of it and reached down and pushed the button and used it like a bicycle and just pedaled off. What was he going to do? And finally, I got a smart ass cop. We were headed over to somebody's house, and it was a stretch of road where the speed limit was 45, and it was only a 2-lane road, and it was getting to where it's kind of busy. And if I was as far to the right as I could get, these people wouldn't even go outside their lane to pass us. I mean, there was like times it was like this far away at 40 miles an hour, they come whipping by. So I finally said, screw this. And I pulled out into the left tire lane. And I made them drive around me. So traffic's kind of backing up a little. And as soon as I get to like a parking lot for a big building or something, I'd pull off into the parking lot and let them all go by. Well, about 6 cars back was a cop. And he pulled over and he's ranting and raving this bullshit. And I'm tired of it, you know. And I said, look, I'm ready to go to court. I know what I'm doing is right, you know, whether or not you're aware of the law change. So he wrote me a ticket and he said 35 miles an hour. So I knew he's a liar anyway. So I go to court. Before court, I called the cop shop. They sent out a sergeant, and they hooked up with a highway patrolman's radar. And I let the sergeant drive the thing. I said, see if you can get anywhere as close to 35 miles an hour with this. So he drove it, you know, and he drove way down the street and all the way back, and couldn't get over 25 miles an hour. They were governed for that. That was part of the rules of being able to be a moped at that time. So I had proof, but I was too stupid to know I needed to subpoena them to my hearing so they could testify, and had that ticket thrown right out. But I didn't know I was supposed to. So we go to court. I bring this to the cop, and the judge says, well, are they here to verify that? And I said, no, but I had their names. So he reads off the law. Now, I read the law too, but the very end of the law said to stay as far to the right as you deem safe. Well, the damn judge left that part off. As far to the right as possible, period. He said, how do you plead? I said, not guilty. He said, $35. And that was the end of that. Well, if I'd have known, the maximum bicycle fine is $10. So if I'd have pleaded guilty, it'd been $10 fine. But I said I intended to appeal it because I wasn't going to give them the damn satisfaction. Of course, I ended up paying them $35 too because it was too late to do it smart. Anyway, I'm going to jump back and forth here. So we're at this place, and I remember there was a point, not sure if this is it yet or not, where Debbie's, we were planning on getting married on leap year. I mentioned it. I said, we really need to get married in the church because this is wrong. I knew it was wrong. The Lord sure put up with me and my sinning a lot, and I'm not so sure that wasn't the first time your mom ever thought there was something wrong. Anyway, so I decided to go for a walk. I was on unemployment now. Job's gone. I'm going to go for a walk and maybe clean it all out. This is 7th of February of 76. And I write, to hope to change into something better without any solid ground idea as to what is or why is itself absurd. And so I must record my questions and answers on several levels of consciousness to attain that plane of truth and justice on which a person, myself, believes true life is attained. What's wrong? Pot, habits, cigarettes, food, misdirection, stranded, control, faith. And then some quotes. Nothing that passes into the body's evil. It's what comes out of a man's mouth. This is sin. Pot's a plant. It's a gift, but it's dangerous to the spirit because of its seductive properties. A person should first be strong in the spirit before partaking. Habits, the sleepwalking, uncontrolled motions of one not totally aware. Don Juan says, when one dies, the whole of the person dies, so why not live with the whole of the person? Christ calls us his little children. Cigarettes are the symbology of my weakness, to shrink from my role as a whole person, and to adhere to the base sensations. For a reason, I failed to shirk my childish tastes and bear the weight of my cross. Fear, perhaps, but ignorance in the word and power of God, for sure. Food, another habit, another sensation, another stumbling stone, another lack of control, another empty space in the day I am squandering in ignorance and separation from God. Misdirection of mind. Mind in God does godlike works. Mind in dreams results in ironic dead life. Stranded at the dead end of a life of dreams, of lack of control. Control based on belief and faith and hope and truth. Steering, as it were, instead of merely riding along, to die on the cross with Christ, to the base sensations, and to rise with and through Christ to new levels of consciousness, and eventually, if you've a firm grip, to the awareness of the source of all, and if you be truly strong, to his very presence. Faith founded not on ignorance or superstition, but upon conviction of truth. Something better, to have thrown off the chains of sensation and looked Christ in the eye and said, my life is yours, and holding to that path for all eternity. That would be better. To constantly push my mind so as to make maximum use of my life in his direction. That would be better. To converse regularly with the Spirit and no longer feel ashamed, but to rejoice in that feeling of accomplishment. To plug into universal mind. Some more quotes. I wrestle within an evil force several times a day, only to discover his strength. And if I so much as say I win, I lose. And yet, if I should be so chosen, he couldn't even face me. And yet, like a fool, I squander my precious time, chasing dead things and choosing not to believe. So, some spiritual contemplation. Another time, another side of mind. Quick catch-up. Deb and I wed on March 14th, 1976 in the Immaculate Heart Church. Now she and I are we. Have been working for Gray Supply Company. Ed Gray, okay. Money okay, time okay. But the future promises everything and nothing, and I'm ready either way. I'm totally convinced his way can be experienced through my system and the ways of my life. Been working a lot and have a rototiller on the way. Couldn't be more positive, Debbie being my wife. Hope to have a farm soon. Okay, let's see here. Here's August 24th. Gray Supply Company. November 9th. Deb's leaving. Brother's here. Gray Supply is floundering around trying to make a go of it. My hours have been outrageous, sort of a trap. This week's vacation has started to straighten my head out, but life has compounded my problems with Debbie moving out. Yes, I understand, but it sure makes a joke of my efforts. Wanting to raise our mode of life, I've devoted myself much of my working hours to Gray Supply and come home drained. Now to finally get some time off with the hopes of renewing our love and awareness of each other, I find it's too late. What was almost too much time for me was far too long for Debbie, and the feelings I hope to bring back to the front are gone. Deb has undergone many changes, came into her own, so to speak. That was expected. Time does that, but her leaving, although a possibility, wasn't expected and has shocked my reality. How does one start? I have a working communication with the Godhead of all. I have a goal, farming in the life in the direction of head that it evolves from life through earth. I've even got some tools to make it work, and I'm already in the current headed that way, but I've lost the reason and the power to better myself and continue. Without Deb, without the other side of a total, without my source of power, without my dream, the farm will be a hollow reality. It is already. It has been ever since I became aware of Deb's different direction of mind. She doesn't draw the same feelings as I do when she sees our future. So I've lost. I'm sure there will be rewards and other sources of power and time, but there won't be the one I've been striving for the past year. I guess that requires change. I know I've lost the closeness to God I used to have, sort of trying to do it through my own efforts, and that's a ridiculous joke in itself. And I know the fault lies in my hands too, and that's got to change. And I know what part of my life is hindering my prayers. Gray Supply Company. So pardon me while I change. Life in the city breeds its own form of sickness. May as well put it on paper. Today, as far as I know, Debbie's leaving me. Curse my insecurity. Of course, by now it makes perfect sense. Me, Gary Harris, actually finding the perfect woman and happy ever. Shit, I can't even sit here and picture it anymore. Debbie's far too fine a woman for me, for my ways, for my level of consciousness. Can't really see me here if she's not. Might be time to pack, walking stick, accept the will of God, and place the whole of my life in the hands of Christ. Amen. A separation is a shock to every level of consciousness, and it's so damned easy to slide back down to the beginning. Okay. 11:20. Sort of adjusted by now. The dream is gone, at least the one I had. I suppose Deb and I can make a go of it using another dream, but I can't expect to ever have my needs recognized. There's too great a gap in our mind processes. Might happen again, us separating again, and that possibility calls for a new way of looking at things. Karma surely demanded that of me, sort of putting the shoe on the other foot. Deb's a good girl, she'll make a good woman, but in the meantime, I'm going to have to watch my own self. Putting your whole life as a disposable young girl is indeed asking for hurt. Anyway, my turn is coming, and I don't have a time limit when I'm out there. Maybe when she's 20, it'll have changed. She read that and wrote, oh, brother. 11:28, Deb's back. I must agree with Deb, things are much better now. It's probably a good thing she left, but my world has undergone some changes. Last day at Gray Supply is Tuesday. Might get unemployment, might get some acreage in exchange for labor. Sunday, sunny out, garden's doing well, everyone is wearing a smile, life continues. All right. Yeah, that was kind of rough. I will curse myself for not having been mature enough to let Debbie. She moved in with a friend from the restaurant, and if I'd have been a better man, I'd have just let her go to decide on her own with no pressure if this was what she wanted or not. She probably would have decided not. But I kind of got an investment in all this trip by now, and I'm just saying, hey, if you're not going to be here, I'm gone. You know, my plan was to come down here for the winter and get the hell out of here. But the way all that happened was we finally got enough money set aside, and I said, are you about ready to go on down to the Keys? And she said, no way, we could have starved to death. I'm not doing that ever again. That was clear back before we even got married, I think. So I had their choice right there. You know, that was my time to have a choice. I should have sent her ass back to California. But like Adam and everybody, every man since, I suppose, I was ready to trade it all to have a mate. Anyway, I suppose I better stop here. So now Debbie's left and she's come back. I've gone for that hike, and I found this property in Pomona Park, Florida, for 3 acres for $500 down and $65 a month, and thought, we could manage that because I'd already started this business up in Jacksonville. I'm gonna leave it right here. I never know how big these things are. They take forever to upload. Oh, chapter 16, I think, wasn't it? Wonder if I can move this and see. Yep, chapter 16. All right.